Hello friends and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at Gilmore Girls Season 1, Episode 7, Kiss and Tell. And if you're new to these videos, then hi, my name is Scott. And have you ever watched Gilmore Girls and just nodded along with all of those rapid fire pop culture references that they keep churning out and you're just going, I presume they're funny and witty and I'm just going to keep on nodding because I don't want to actually stop watching to look it up? Don't you worry, I've got your back because I've been looking them up for you. That's exactly what this video is. I'm going through each episode and highlighting each of the pop culture references that pop up, giving some context behind them, and so that next time you come to watch that episode and come across that joke in your personal watch through, you'll have the background and you'll go, now I understand it, now I appreciate it a lot more. And once we're done with the pop culture references, I'll follow it up with a little bit of trivia and then my review on the episode. And as you're watching, don't forget that the comment section is open down below, so if there are any pop culture references that you did already know, feel free to let me know, or if there are any that come up that you didn't know and this is your first time actually understanding the context behind it, tap away and let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying the video, feel free to give it a like, and also why not a little subscribe as well, because then you won't miss out on any future videos, whether it's Gilmore Girls, whether it's Friends, or whether it's any other show that I'll be covering in the future. Hit that subscribe button and you won't miss out. Alrighty, so that's the intro over. Now let's jump in, because apparently there's some kissing and there's some telling to be done. It's the Autumn Festival in Stars Hollow, and we finally get to meet Taylor for the first time, and he's having a go at Luke.
This is the Autumn Festival. Your shop is right across the street from the Horn of Plenty. You're right smack dab in the middle of everything. You have to decorate.
So this is what a Horn of Plenty is, and it is often used as a decoration at Thanksgiving. It's more commonly known as a cornucopia, and its origin goes all the way back to Greek mythology. There are a few different origin stories, but my favorite concerns when Zeus was a baby. For you see, his father, Cronus, was told that it was fated that one of his children would overthrow him as the king of the gods. So what is the most logical thing to do if that is the prophecy? Don't have any kids, right? Haha, no, there's no stopping Cronus. Instead, he had 5 children and ate them all. That's right, in order to make sure that none of them grew up to overthrow him, he ate them. So he ate Demeter, Hera, Hestia, Poseidon, and Hades. But when the 6th one was born, Zeus, his mother Rhea instead smuggled him away. Cronus knew that he was expecting a child, so Rhea swaddled a rock and gave that to Cronus, and he swallowed it, and he thought that he'd eaten his own child. Oh, you know, happy days carry on as usual. Rhea managed to smuggle Zeus away to Mount Ida on Crete, and that is where he was raised by the goat Amalthea. He grew up nursing the milk of this goat, and as he grew up, he grew stronger, and one day when he was playing with Amalthea, he accidentally broke off one of her horns. This broken off horn was then imbued with the divine power to provide unending nourishment. And so the Horn of Plenty, a cornucopia, is literally a horn from which food comes out. And it has been used in all sorts of contexts over the years, in stories, in political allegories, in advertising campaigns, and it's still used nowadays at celebrations such as Thanksgiving or harvest festivals because it is a symbol of abundance and wealth and prosperity, and always making sure that you've got plenty of food and nourishment and all the good things because you have that there, and it's there. And there we go. But the one thing it can't provide is plenty of Thanksgiving cheer, because Luke is definitely in a deficit. Taylor is now lecturing Luke on his community spirit.
You have lived in Stars Hollow for a long time, young man. It's time you became one of us.
Sorry, I guess my pod's defective.
The pods that Luke is referring to are from The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a novel that came out in 1955, written by Jack Finney, but was most famously turned into a movie in 1978, starring Donald Sutherland. Basically, alien seed pods have arrived from outer space, and these pods create perfect replicas of humans, but they are devoid of emotion and individuality. And as people fall asleep, the pods take over their bodies, replicating their physical forms, but replacing them with emotionless duplicates. There are a group of human survivors who discover the invasion, and they try to resist and warn others. However, as more people are replaced by these pod people, paranoia and fear grow until you're left questioning who is real and who is not. So yeah, when you hear somebody going, "It's time for you to be one of us," that is kind of a, "Oh, you must have been taken over by the pod people" kind of thing to say. That's a very pod person thing to say, Taylor. Okay? Rory has gone into the grocery store where Dean works, and he is stacking cans.
Doesn't really look like the Mayflower.
Well, we could put a sign on it or something.
I don't know. So you want to go back to the Plymouth Rock idea?
So a lot of this episode is centered around the upcoming Autumn Festival and the upcoming Thanksgiving celebrations. And the Mayflower and Plymouth Rock are two very important pieces of the first Thanksgiving story. The Mayflower was the ship that carried 102 passengers, known as the Pilgrims, from England to the New World in 1620. These pilgrims were seeking religious freedom and hoped to establish a new settlement. After a difficult 2-month voyage across the Atlantic, the Mayflower landed in present-day Massachusetts, and the Pilgrims first set foot on Plymouth Rock. This is the rock. It's meant to be where the Pilgrims first actually touched America. It's just a rock, isn't it? It's just a rock. And this humble rock has become the symbol for the birth of colonization in North America. And just to round off the story, the Pilgrims faced harsh conditions during their first winter, with many dying from disease and lack of food. However, with the help of the Native Americans, particularly Squanto and the Wampanoag tribe, they learned to cultivate the land, leading to the first Thanksgiving in 1621. And so that is what Thanksgiving is in North America. It occurs on the 4th Thursday of November, and it is a celebration of the first Thanksgiving back in 1621. And so when the time comes around, of course, you've got to celebrate with those symbols, such as the Mayflower or Plymouth Rock. I mean, a Plymouth Rock made out of cans would just be a pile, wouldn't it? Because let's just take another look at what Plymouth Rock looks like. Yeah. I reckon that might be doable out of cans. It's just a rock, innit? Lorelai was meant to pick up a rocker from Mrs. Kim, but it's been 6 weeks, and Mrs. Kim has some advice for her.
Once again, I'm really sorry. I've just been very busy.
Maybe you should be less busy. Then you can remember to pick up chairs.
Right. Absolutely. Smell a rose. Got it.
Though more of a phrase than a pop culture reference, to smell the roses means to take the time to slow down and literally smell the roses. Take the time to literally just smell the flowers, sniff the flowers, enjoy nature around you. Just moment to breathe. But the reason I want to bring it up is because we know exactly where this phrase originated from. It was in the 1956 autobiography of American golfer Walter Hagen. And this is what he said in context. "You're only here for a short visit. Don't hurry, don't worry, and be sure to smell the flowers along the way." How beautiful is that? And what a fantastic piece of advice that I think we could all do with hearing. We're only here for a short time, so don't fill it with being stressed and worried about things that are out of your control. Just remember to take time and smell the flowers. And over time, that quote has morphed into "stop and smell the roses." And Lorelai is saying that, yeah, I should stop and smell the roses, but you can tell she has so little time because she says, yes, smell a rose, singular. Yes, I think I've got enough space in my schedule to sniff one rose. Just the one, okay? Rory has had her first kiss and she is telling Lane all about it. And Lane is a little bit jealous of this milestone and Rory tries to cheer her up.
You got kissed last weekend. Remember you told me? That guy your parents set you up with? The one with the Lincoln Continental. What's his name? Patrick Cho.
Okay, let's do a little compare and contrast here.
You get kissed on the mouth by a cute, cool, sexy guy you really like. And I get kissed on the forehead by a theology major in a members-only jacket who truly believes that rock music leads to hard drugs. Fair enough.
This is a Lincoln Continental. It's a luxury car that was introduced in 1939 by Ford, and it was incredibly popular because of its streamlined design and just how great it looks. And so, yeah, I guess that's one in the positive column for Patrick Cho. And members-only jackets were introduced in 1975 and gained widespread fame in the 1980s. They're characterized by their slim, racer-style design, epaulettes on the shoulders, knitted collar and cuffs, and as well as a signature pocket that reads "members only" on the front. They were iconic in the 80s, worn by celebrities and featuring in TV shows, but they kind of dipped off in the 90s. There's been a little bit of resurgence in the last few years, but at the time of this episode, yeah, their popularity was at kind of a lull, so I'm guessing it's now one in the other column for Patrick Cho. So sorry, Patrick, that is a tie, and that doesn't seem like a net positive overall, my friend. Lane admits that her love life isn't really up to scratch, so she wants to live vicariously through Rory and Dean, and so she's been putting in the work.
Well, let's see. Dean's from Chicago, which you know.
I do.
He likes Nick Drake and Liz Phair and the sugar plastic, and he's deathly allergic to walnuts.
Okay, so 3 musical acts listed there. Let's get through them. Nick Drake was an English singer-songwriter and musician known for his deeply introspective and melancholic folk music. During his lifetime, he released 3 albums: 5 Leaves Left, Brighter Later, and Pink Moon. Despite his talent, marked by intricate guitar work, poetic lyrics, and a soft, haunting voice, he never achieved commercial success in his short lifetime, as at the age of 26, he took his own life by overdosing on antidepressants. Cut to 20 years later, and one of Nick's songs, Pink Moon, is featured on a 1999 advert for the Volkswagen Cabrio. The usage of this song led to a resurgence in his popularity, giving him chart success for the first time, and seeing his back catalogue of songs being used across movies and shows for years to come. And so you can kind of see why Dean is a fan, considering what we later learn about him is that he is a big car fanatic. And so it makes sense that Dean would have seen this advert for the car, and there's this very popular song behind it. He likes cars, he's going to like that song by proxy, and so now he is a fan of Nick Drake. It all ties together. Liz Phair is an American singer-songwriter and guitarist known for her candid lyrics and lo-fi indie rock sound. She gained fame with her 1993 debut album Exile in Guyville, a critically acclaimed record often seen as a feminist response to the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street. The rawness of the album and Phair's blunt discussions of sexuality and relationships helped make her an influential figure in the alternative rock scene of the 1990s. And she grew up just outside of Chicago, which makes me think that there's a connection there, because where is Dean from? That's right, the home of the deep dish pizza, Chicago. So I'm thinking there's some sort of local support there. You know, she's from Chicago and he's from Chicago, and so he's listening to someone who's from Chicago. It kind of makes sense to me, at least. And the third of Dean's playlist faves are probably the most obscure of the bunch. The Sugar Plastics are an American alternative rock band formed in 1993 who are known for their catchy melodies and clever lyrics, blending together elements of power pop, rock, and indie music. They've been compared to bands such as the Beatles for their sound featuring harmonious vocals and jangly guitars, and though they've gained critical acclaim over the years, they've remained relatively out of the mainstream light, and so I can't really make the connection here with this one. Maybe Dean likes candy and oil-based products? Is that a link? Yeah. Lorelai knows that Rory has had a first kiss, but Rory hasn't told her that, and so she wants to give her the opportunity to do so, and she goes about it in her own way.
I was watching General Hospital the other day. And, you know, they have a new Lucky, because the old Lucky went to go play something where he could have a real name. So the old Lucky had this girlfriend, Liz, who thought that he died in a fire. So then they bring on this new Lucky, and you're all like, okay, I know that's not the old Lucky because the new Lucky has way more hair gel issues. But still, Liz was so upset about his supposed death that you could not wait to see them kiss. You know? When do you have time to watch General Hospital?
Okay, so there's a lot to break down here. General Hospital is an American TV show which is the longest running American soap opera in production. It's been going since 1963 and it has over 15,000 episodes. That is insane. Could you imagine binging that? But yes, it was most popular in the 1980s, largely in part because of the romance between two of the characters, Luke and Laura, which culminated in their wedding. No, I didn't say Luke and Lorelai, even though isn't that incredibly close? So Luke and Laura had a son, Lucas Lucky Spencer, and as he grew up, he became part of a much-loved couple when he began a relationship with Elizabeth Liz Weber, played by Rebecca Herbst, in 1997. The actor who played Lucky, Jonathan Jackson, left the show in 1999 amid rumors that he was going to play Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. That didn't happen, however, he did go on to keep working throughout his career. The way they wrote the actor out of the show was by claiming that his character, Lucky, had died in a fire. However, in February 2000, they brought Lucky back with Jacob Young playing him, and the explanation was that he had been brainwashed by another character in the show, and so began this arduous task of deprogramming his brainwashing and following the attempting rekindling of his and Liz's relationship, and everybody's watching to hopefully have that first new kiss again, even though they were originally dating, but now it's sort of a new first kiss because it's a new actor and he's using a lot of hair gel. He doesn't look right, but it's the same. It's all a little bit odd, isn't it? So that's definitely a lot going on for a show called General Hospital. Like, just from the title, you'd expect it to be some light, soap opera about the goings-on of a hospital, but no, they wrote out a character and then brought him back. He survived a fire, brainwashing, all going on, hair gel, yes, a lot of stuff. So no wonder Lorelai wants to bring that up now, but of course it all leads in very well because they're waiting for the kiss. But she's using that as a bait to hopefully get Rory to talk about her kiss. But in all fairness, if I were Rory, I don't think I'd pick up on that cue because I would still be trying to process everything that's just been described of what's going on in the show, because that is definitely a lot happening right there. And 15,000 episodes. Are they all like that? Whew. Lorelai didn't get the information she was hoping for from Rory, and Luke has come to the table.
Not going to say you look concerned.
Not gonna talk about how good you'd look dressed like one of the guys from the Crucible.
Fair enough.
The Crucible is a 1953 play written by Arthur Miller, and it is considered one of the greatest plays ever written. It is set at the time of the Salem witch trials, and a lot of things that happen in the play actually happened in real life. Many of the characters are real people, and a lot of events do mirror real life stories. But the setting of it is just an allegory for what was happening at the time in the 50s in the United States, which was the McCarthy era. To boil the McCarthy era down very simply, there was a paranoia that there were people in America who were communist sympathizers. And it started all the way up from the government, all the way down to the street level. And people were accusing their neighbors, were suspecting co-workers, anyone who just happened to speak against them ever so slightly, or even if someone just annoyed them, they would accuse them of being a communist sympathizer, and they could be arrested for it, they could be reprimanded for it. There was a whole thing going on. And those real life events have the perfect allegory in the Crucible, because in the Crucible, there's this whole thing about someone being a witch, and then they say, oh, you're a witch, and then everybody believes that they're a witch, and people get caught up in this mass hysteria, and it is an incredible play. And I have a personal connection to this play, because when I was 17 years old, I played the lead role of John Proctor in the Crucible here in Birmingham for a 2-week run, and it was an incredible experience because it is a phenomenal play with such incredible scenes, and the writing is so brilliant, and it just culminates to the courtroom scene and the trial, and it is, oh my gosh, it's incredible. If you get the chance to watch it on stage, do, but if you don't, then there is a 1996 version starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder, which is absolutely brilliant as well. But yes, it's set in the late 1600s. People will be dressed up still like pilgrims, and that is the dress style of the Autumn Festival, and Luke doesn't want anything to do with the Autumn Festival, and Lorelai is teasing him by going, oh, you would look great as someone from the Crucible because they're dressed like a pilgrim, and yada, yada, yada. It's just another jab in the void of Luke's heart where community spirit should be. Lorelai wants to take a look at the guy who Rory's had her first kiss with, and Luke has caught her spying on Dean. They've left the grocery store, and Lorelai ruminates on how Dean looks a lot like Christopher, Rory's dad.
He kind of looks like Christopher.
The grocery kid?
Yeah, he looks like Christopher.
And Christopher is Rory's dad.
The hair, the build, something about the eyes. He reminds me of Christopher.
Well, that's not too surprising.
You're going to quote Freud to me? Because I'll push you in front of a moving car.
Sigmund Freud was a neurologist and dubbed the father of psychoanalysis. Now, I've talked about him in previous videos on this channel, so I won't go into much detail about him as a person, but what I will talk about is one of his theories that is brought up in this scene, and that is of the Oedipal complex. The theory gets its name from the classical story and eponymous character Oedipus Rex, who kills his father and marries his mother. Now, he doesn't realize this has happened. You gotta know that about the original story. He was separated from his parents at birth. He didn't know who his parents were growing up. He bumped into this man in the street, and there was a scuffle, there was a disagreement. He ended up killing him. That was his dad. Didn't realize that. He then goes to the city and ends up marrying this newly widowed woman. She is widowed because her husband was killed out in the street. He doesn't realize that. He doesn't realize that that was actually his mother. Ends up marrying, and there was a whole prophecy about how he would kill his father and marry his mother, and he was like, oh, don't believe it, not gonna happen. Then he finds out, oh, you were, and there's a whole thing about taking his eyes out and whatever. It's not very nice. It's not nice at all. But the relations there were accidental and unknown. In Freud's theory of the Oedipal complex, it is very much known. Because Freud's theory is that as we grow up, we have a latent sexual attraction to the parental figure to whom we would be most associated to be attracted with. So, for example, in heterosexual relationships, a young boy would have some latent sexual attraction to his mother, and a young girl would have some latent sexual attraction to her father. Now, that theory has been argued against and for over the years, and there's this whole thing about like, oh, you know, you end up dating your mother, you end up dating someone who's like your father, and that is what Luke is bringing up here because, oh, how about that? Rory has gone for a guy who looks a lot like her dad. Yeah, I mean, I usually end these explanations with a little joke, but I don't think there is anything to joke about there because it's all a little bit weird territory, isn't it? So why don't we just move on? Lorelai has finally confronted Rory about the kiss.
You didn't think you were going to be able to keep it a secret, did you? You were making out in the market.
We weren't making out. It was just one kiss.
Yeah, well, by the time that gets to Miss Patty's, it's a scene from 9.5 Weeks.
9.5 Weeks is an erotic drama from 1986 that follows the intense and tumultuous relationship between young art gallery assistant Elizabeth, played by Kim Basinger, and a mysterious man named John, played by Mickey Rourke. Their romance explores themes of passion, desire, and emotional vulnerability as John introduces Elizabeth to a world of sexual experimentation and dominance. And though it wasn't a box office success, it is well known for its steamy and provocative scenes showcasing the allure and complexity of their relationship. I think I've seen it, and if I have, I don't remember it, but I do remember the food scene where they're sitting in front of a fridge and they're feeding each other. It's mainly because I don't like people feeding me food. I think that's why. I didn't find it nice scene. I found it a very not nice scene. Ugh. But yes, it's very steamy and it's very erotic, and that is kind of an indication of where it would end up once Miss Patty has got the story of Rory and Dean having just an innocent little kiss. A little innocent kiss at the back of the grocery store. Oh no, it's been blown up into this huge ordeal. So you just got to make sure to put a stop to those rumors before they escalate into a scene from a 1986 erotic drama. Lorelai and Rory are getting food for their movie night.
I think we have enough stuff to eat at home.
Really? Where do you live? Because the home I left this morning had nothing.
Well, we're ordering pizza. That's enough.
Are you crazy? You can't watch Willy Wonka without massive amounts of junk food. It's not right. I won't allow it.
Willy Wonka is just the short form of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, a 1971 movie based on the 1964 book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, written by Roald Dahl. And the story is that there is this eccentric chocolatier who is opening the gates to his factory for the first time in ever, and he's allowing 5 kids to come and have a tour. Kids whilst having supervision from adult. Of course, you can't just go into some factory if you're a kid. You gotta have someone with you, haven't you? But you don't apply for a place on the tour. Instead, you have to find a golden ticket hidden in one of the Wonka chocolate bars. It's a great marketing strategy, let's be honest, because now so many people are buying Wonka bars looking for this golden ticket when there's only 5 of them out there. Whew! Marketing genius. No wonder he can afford to have a chocolate river, employ an entire workforce, do all these R&D things. I mean, he's got matter transportation into a television screen. The amount of money that man has because of that marketing strategy, imagine how many people are buying those Wonka bars. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent right here. It's a fantastic film. It's an incredible film. And Lorelai is right. You can't just sit there with some pizza. You need to eat a load of food, a load of junk food when watching that particular movie because you will feel sad for not having junk food to eat when you see how much wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous junk food there is on the screen. I mean, you are drinking from rivers, you are eating all these sweets and candies, and you've just, oh gosh, imagine just sitting there going, yeah, I'll have a carrot. Like, no! Get yourself the bag of M&Ms. Get yourself the Cadbury's Marvelous Creations Jelly Bean. Ooh, I could do with a bar of that. Maybe I need to watch Willy Wonka and get myself some chocolate. Rory doesn't want Lorelai to go into the grocery store lest she bumps into Dean, but Lorelai gives her some reassurance.
Rory, it's fine.
It's too weird.
I'm gonna have to meet him eventually.
Okay, how about next year?
I'm going to be so cool in there, you will mistake me for Shaft.
Shaft is a character created by author Ernest Tiedemann, first appearing in the 1970 novel that shares his name. He is a private detective in New York City, known for his cool demeanor, sharp wit, and tough attitude. He's often portrayed as a suave and charismatic figure, embodying the archetype of the hard-boiled detective as he navigates the gritty underworld of crime, dealing with issues of race and social justice. He's appeared in a number of films over the years, and whatever situation he gets himself into, he's cool. He is always super cool. So cool that even me just saying the word cool, even me attempting to describe how cool he is, makes me seem less cool in comparison. He is just that cool. And that is how cool Lorelai is going to be. And if you don't have time to read all the novels or watch all the movies, just listen to the song from the soundtrack of the movie, because that tells you just how cool Shaft is. I've said cool so many times now, it's lost all meaning. Not cool at all. Now, Rory is giving a list of don'ts for when Lorelai meets Dean.
There will be no interrogation.
I swear.
No kissing noises, no stories from my childhood, no referring to Chicago as Chi-Town, no James Dean jokes, no father with a shotgun stares, no Nancy Walker impressions.
Oh, come on.
There's a couple of references in short succession here. Let's get through them. James Dean was an American actor from the 1950s who's become solidified in the public conscience for being a cool, rebellious figure. His career only lasted 5 years. He started out in television and then had a few uncredited roles in movies before landing the 3 movies that he is known for: East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. He gained widespread critical acclaim for these roles, and it was his performance in Rebel Without a Cause that he is most remembered for, being basically a rebel, fighting out against his parents, wearing leather jackets, going about. It sort of solidified a culture of the 1950s, of rock and roll era, and the reason his career was so short was because he unfortunately died in a car crash when he was only 24 years old. And so I'm guessing no James Dean jokes around Dean, because Dean's name is James Dean's last name. Also because they both wear leather jackets, I suppose. I mean, I wouldn't say Dean is cool like James Dean. I wouldn't say that at all. I would say with some foresight and retrospective hindsight that the James Dean comparisons would probably be left to the next man that comes into Rory's life, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, shall we? And Nancy Walker was an American actress, comedian, and director who is probably most recognized for her roles on Macmillan and Wife and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. In the latter, she played Ida Morgenstern, the mother to Rhoda, and when Rhoda went off and had her own spin-off show, Ida appeared there also. And she could be quite overbearing and at times very interfering, and it's obvious that Lorelai has done impressions of her before, and well, maybe now's not the best time to do those impressions in front of Dean. We'll just keep that for the Christmas party, say. Lorelai and Rory have stocked up on snacks and now they're about to pay.
Oh, you girls having another movie night?
Yeah, it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, that's nice. Isn't that the one with Gene Hackman?
Gene Alder.
Though they share the same first name, they are 2 very different actors. Gene Hackman is a truly incredible actor whose career has spanned over 6 decades, and in that time, he won 2 Academy Awards and 2 BAFTAs, one of each for The French Connection and another one of each for Unforgiven. And if you've ever seen those films, you know they are truly incredible films. Unforgiven is absolutely brilliant. Another one that I love of his is The Poseidon Adventure. Oh my gosh, absolutely fantastic disaster flick. Cruise liner, upside down, capsize, escape, absolutely brilliant. But I would say personally the role that I know him best for would be as Lex Luthor in the original Superman movies. And he was phenomenal in that. He was so charismatic and yet so villainous. The thing is with Gene Hackman is he is more known for being sort of a tough guy, for being somewhat a little bit intimidating. Lex Luthor is kind of like more of the comedic side of him, but that was very much a departure from his usual style of acting. He's very much very stern, very to the point, sort of tough guy-esque. And so him being in Willy Wonka would actually be hilarious, because imagining him as Willy Wonka would be a very funny thing to do. But no, the cashier was in fact wrong, corrected by Dean, because yes, the actor who played Willy Wonka was Gene Wilder. And Gene Wilder was yet another incredible actor, but this time in the world of comedy films. And when you think of some of the films that he has done, oh my gosh, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, The Producers, Stir Crazy, See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Oh my gosh, he is absolutely phenomenal in all of those roles because he had such a way about him of being utterly hilarious whilst being completely straight. It was fantastic. He wouldn't really have to play anything up. He wouldn't have to do really that many funny faces or, over the top things. He had a very good way of delivering the most incredibly funny lines with perfect timing whilst being completely straight. And it was absolutely brilliant. Him in Young Frankenstein is an absolute tour de force. I love that movie, and he's absolutely brilliant in it. And now I'm thinking about it. Now I've listed the movies. Blazing Saddles, absolutely brilliant. See No Evil, Hear No Evil, absolutely brilliant. Stir Crazy, absolutely brilliant. The pairing of Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, match made in heaven. But yes, it was Gene Wilder who was Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And here's a little tidbit of information for you. Gene Wilder said that he would only do the film if they wrote in a scene that when you first see Willy Wonka, he comes out of the factory and he's walking with a cane and he looks like he's not very sturdy on his feet. And then he trips, he forward rolls, and he's absolutely fine. He said that that was the most important part of his character and for the entire film, because after that, you don't know what to trust about him. And it's true, you don't know what to trust with Willy Wonka. You think he's saying one thing, but he's actually meaning another. You think he's got this intention, but he doesn't. You think he's acting this way, but he's not. It's all about that duplicity. It's all about that, oh, what do I trust here? And he said he would only do that film if he could have that scene because he knew how to make characters and he knew how to tell stories. Both of them, incredible actors. Any of those movies I've listed, go and watch them. Go and buy a load of food, much like Lorelai and Rory have done. Sit down, hunker down, get yourself a blanket like I've got now because it's so cold in my apartment right now, and watch some of those classic movies. That is your homework. Let me know how it goes. So Lorelai invited Dean to come to the movie night, and Rory's not happy about it.
My first date with Dean is going to be with my mother? What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I thought you would be happy about this.
In what universe would I be happy? This isn't Amish country. Girls and boys usually date alone.
The Amish are a denomination of Christianity that are mainly found in North America, with large populations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. They originated in Europe in the late 17th century and are part of the Anabaptist movement, which emphasizes adult baptism and a commitment to living according to the teachings of Jesus. As such, they lead very simple lives, wearing plain clothes, and a refusal to adopt modern technology. And the subject of Amish youth dating is something that is rather fascinating because of all the rules that are put in place, and there's a whole area to go into with that, a whole lot of discussion of the different practices and things. I'm not fully qualified to go into it, so I won't talk on that behalf, but there is one part that I do know is that very conservative Amish relationships would be that when a boy and a girl go on a date, they are often accompanied either by a group of friends or by their parents so that they can watch over and make sure that everything is going accordingly to how they want the evening to go. Nothing untoward, nothing out of hand, nothing against the teachings of their community. And so, yes, the first date between Rory and Dean, and oh, Rory's mom is there as well. That is something out of Amish country. But be thankful that it isn't Amish country, Rory, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to put in that VHS of Willy Wonka, would you? So Dean is coming over for movie night, and Rory is stressing over what to wear, how to act, and Lorelai gives us some advice.
You'll do fine. Just give yourself a little time to get there.
Is half an hour enough?
Plenty. Come on. Dab on some lip gloss, clear but fruity, maybe a little mascara, wear your hair down and your attitude high.
You're like a crazy Elsa Klensch.
Oh, thank you. Come on now, hustle. We got a man coming over.
Elsa Klensch is an Australian-American journalist, author, and TV personality with a background predominantly in fashion. Between 1980 and 2001, she hosted her own TV show called Style with Elsa Klensch, in which she took a weekly look at fashion and design from around the world. And so with Lorelai giving these fashion tips at such a frenetic rate, yeah, she is acting like a crazy Elsa Klensch. But I've got to say, it's not Lorelai who I would go for fashion tips. It's Luke. I absolutely love Luke's look. I'm gonna try and emulate it. We'll see how it works out. I think I need to Add some muscle on first. Be a bit more gruff. Get a better stubble. Taller, more charismatic, more enigmatic. I don't know, there's a lot. The only thing we share is a first name. Not Luke, the actor who plays him. Scott. That's the only... Why did I go down this path? Now I'm sad. So Dean is late to the movie night, but it turns out he's been held somewhat hostage by Babette and Maury.
Oops.
What?
Chicago was one of my favorite towns. There used to be a great club there called, what was it called, baby?
Mr. Kelly.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Kelly's. You ever go there?
Mr. Kelly's was a renowned nightclub in Chicago, operating from the late 50s to the early 70s, and it was known for its intimate atmosphere and excellent acoustics, becoming a prominent venue for live music and comedy, hosting a variety of famous performers such as Billie Holiday, Barbra Streisand, Eartha Kitt, George Carlin, and Richard Pryor. It was celebrated for its elegant decor and upscale clientele, and became a cultural hotspot and iconic symbol for the city. And though it closed down in 1975, it left a lasting impression on the art landscape that's still felt today. And so of course Babs and Maury went there. If there is a jazz hotspot, you know that dynamic duo will be there, front and center, or tinkering away on the keys. Oh, jazz, jazz, jazz. And Babette has some thoughts on Dean.
Oh, is he cute? Yeah. And that Chuck Heston chin of his.
Chuck Heston is just the nickname version of Charlton Heston, who was an American actor whose career spanned over 60 years. He was a popular leading man in Hollywood, and he had a very strong stage presence and a deep voice, and he was in movies such as The Ten Commandments, in which he played Moses. He was in the original Planet of the Apes. On the ground, oh, they blew it up, that was Charlton Heston, that is Chuck Heston. And he was also in Ben-Hur, for which he won an Academy Award for Best Actor. He is a dashing man with a good chin, much like Dean, but that's not the only thing they have in common. No, because Charlton Heston is from Illinois. And where is Dean from? Chicago, Illinois. Yes, of all the people, of course, Babs has to make a connection that, oh, he's from Chicago? I know someone from Illinois as well. Charlton Heston, don't they look alike? Not really. I mean, if we're going on that theory that you look like a famous person who's from that same area, then I would look like Ozzy Osbourne or Julie Walters. And I'm not sure that I do look like either of them. I don't see it. And now Dean is in Rory's room.
How much does it suck that they use Pink Moon in a Volkswagen commercial?
Oh, I know.
If only I'd have watched further into the episode, then I would have seen there is a Pink Moon reference here, and I wouldn't have been talking about it up there. I'm not going to count this as an additional reference. Instead, I'm going to take the opportunity to say how I actually make these videos. Basically, I have the episode here in front of me, and then I just watch it through, and when I come across a pop culture reference, I pause it, I do my research on my computer, and then I formulate a little script and I speak it into the camera right here. And so I'm not entirely sure what is coming ahead. I don't watch the entire episode, make notes, and then come back to do it. I am doing it as I go along. And so sometimes, much like right here, I may end up finding a bit where it's like, oh, that should have been tacked onto there, or oh yeah, that's been explained here, or in fact it's a different perspective. But anyway, I'm not going to go back and re-edit the bit that I was saying before, me saying about how Dean may have liked Pink Moon because it was in a car commercial and he likes cars. Perhaps. Well, he's kind of saying now that it sucks that it's used in the car commercial. Maybe if I just want to try to justify my point to be correct, that maybe he's trying to act cool in front of Rory by going, ugh, isn't it a shame that this is used in a commercial? I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, I do like the song All Night by Big Boy, just because it was in that one Apple commercial. You know the one? And now I love that song because of that commercial. But if someone would say, why'd you like that song? I'm not going to try and be cool like Dean by going, oh yeah, isn't it a shame they used this song in the commercial? I'll go, no, it's because I like that commercial. I like the way they use the song. That's just me trying to bring down Dean a peg because I feel he needs to be brought down a few pegs. He hasn't got to the point where he does need to be brought down, but he does need to be brought down eventually, so I'm just doing the work ahead of time. Ironic that I say doing the work ahead of time when actually I'm now over-explaining how I didn't do the work ahead of time and now we're in this position. Do you know what? Why don't we just move on to the next reference, shall we? At movie night, it's been revealed that Rory had a crush on an animated character.
Prince Charming, huh?
It was a long time ago. And not the Cinderella one, the Sleeping Beauty one.
Because he could dance.
Yeah.
I've got sisters.
This is Prince Charming from Cinderella, and we spoke about Cinderella before, so I won't go over it again, but this isn't the one that Rory had the crush on. No. It's this prince from the 1959 Disney animated movie Sleeping Beauty, and he's not known as Prince Charming, even though he is a charming prince. His name is actually Prince Philip, not the Prince Philip that we had here in England. I don't think that Rory should be having dreams about him. No. Instead, it is this prince. And for those of you who don't know the story of Sleeping Beauty, basically, Sleeping Beauty falls asleep. She is a beauty that goes to sleep. And do you know what? I'm just going to have a little gripe with this. The fact that she is known as Sleeping Beauty when her name is Aurora, like, that is one of the most beautiful names in existence, yet everybody just calls her Sleeping Beauty. Like, what an absolute shame that is. But anyway, she goes to sleep because of this curse, Maleficent, all of that. And the only way to save her and break the curse is basically by a non-consensual kiss because she's fast asleep and Prince Philip has to snog her to wake her back up. It's a little bit dicey, I would say. I mean, let's be honest, you're kissing a stranger without their permission. But, it's a cartoon for kids, so okay. But yeah, Dean's right. I get it. It's because Prince Philip can dance. I mean, who wouldn't want to be waltzed about like this? And because some embarrassing stories have been shared about Lorelai and Rory, now they want some embarrassing stories from Dean, and they're trying to guess what they may be.
I have no embarrassing secrets.
Oh, please.
I bet I know one.
What?
The theme from Ice Castles makes you cry.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's not true.
Oh, I've got one. At the end of The Way We Were, you wanted Robert Redford to dump his wife and kid for Barbra Streisand.
I've never seen The Way We Were.
Are you kidding?
What are you waiting for?
Ice Castles is a romantic drama released in 1978 and follows the life of a young figure skater named Lexi Winston, who dreams of competing at a high level. However, her aspirations are cut short when a tragic accident leaves her blind, causing her to struggle with the emotional and physical challenges of her new reality. But with the support of her former boyfriend Nick, Lexi learns to adapt to her blindness and is able to skate once again. And the two of them even rekindle their relationship. And the theme song is Through the Eyes of Love, performed by Melissa Manchester. And the movie is incredibly heartfelt, it's incredibly moving, it is incredibly poignant, and so when you hear the song, of course, you're going to have all those emotions stirred. Why would you not well up? It's kind of like listening to Celine Dion sing at the end of Titanic. I mean, that's going to destroy you. And The Way We Were is a romantic drama from 1973 starring Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford and follows their characters, Katie, a political activist, and Hubble, a carefree writer with no political opinions, as they go through a passionate and tumultuous relationship together. Over the course of the movie, they marry, have a daughter, and eventually divorce. At the end of the movie, they happen to cross paths again, and Lorelai did get this wrong, actually, because it was Katie that was remarried with another child, and Hubble is dating someone new. They share a moment together, but realize that love is not enough to make the relationship work, and so they walk away and live their separate lives. But after you've gone through all of that, you really wish that love would prevail, and so you do want Katie to run away from her husband, or as Lorelai says, the other way around. You just want that to happen, so you know this partnership could work, but it's just not the way it's meant to be, because that's not the way life goes. Sometimes you feel that you can be with someone and you want to be with someone, but it's just not going to happen, and that is a very sad thing, and of course that would make you well up. So either blind figure skater gets to skate again, or love just won't happen. Yeah, I reckon both of those things will make you cry. Dean wants to know if he can suggest a movie for movie night.
At what point does the outsider get to suggest a movie for movie night?
It depends. What movie are you thinking of?
I don't know, Boogie Nights maybe?
You'll never get it past Lorelai.
Not a Marky Mark fan?
She had a bad reaction to Magnolia. She sat there screaming for 3 hours, "I want my life back." And then we got kicked out of the theater. It was actually a pretty entertaining day.
Boogie Nights is a 1997 film that follows the story of Eddie, who is just a busboy washing dishes in a nightclub, who then gets picked up to be an adult film star. He becomes a star within the pornographic cinema industry, and he meets lots of characters along the way, and you get to chart his rise and subsequent fall in the height of adult entertainment industry through the 70s and 80s. And can we just say, pretty bold move of Dean to suggest that movie for movie night, because considering they're watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is a kid's film, to then suggest that maybe next time they watch a movie full of porn, yeah, sit there with the girl you've only kissed once and her mother watching a movie about the porn industry. I mean, so Marky Mark was the stage name of Mark Wahlberg because he was in a hip-hop group called Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. They had a song called Good Vibrations that went to #1 in 1991, so fair enough, Mark Wahlberg has a #1 hit, but he dropped that stage name when he started to go into acting in 1993. And Magnolia is a 1999 ensemble film that follows the stories of many different characters all in the space of one day. Their stories are interconnected, and through this weaving narrative, we explore themes of coincidence and fate and just the human condition. And it is an incredibly ambitious film. For one, the storytelling aspect of it, of all these interconnected stories weaving into this mesh of a narrative, but also ambitious for the cast. I mean, it is absolutely stacked. You've got Julianne Moore, Alfred Molina, William H. Macy, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Tom Cruise, a properly stacked cast. And the reason that both of these films that are mentioned are connected is because both of them were written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. They share the same director, and so Lorelai, seeing Magnolia and having a terrible experience, she has now written off all Paul Thomas Anderson films for life. So of course she's going to go nowhere near Boogie Nights because that's one of his works. Also, why would you want to watch a movie about the porn industry with your 16-year-old daughter and her boyfriend? I'm agog. It's the end of the night and Dean's gone, and Lorelai is saying how she wished that Rory had told her about the kiss, but actually it's not that big a deal.
I'm not mad. I just wanted to hear about it. That's all. It's no big deal. It's okay. I'm fine. It's one too many caramello bars. I'm sorry.
So this is a caramello bar. It is little blocks of chocolate in a bar, and inside the chocolate is gooey caramel. Yum. So I tried to do some research to see if there was a specific caramello bar that would have been available in America in the early noughties, and the only thing I could find would be the Cadbury caramello bars. So is that true? Is that the one that is available? Because we have Cadbury over here. It would have obviously been under a different distributor over there. I think Hershey's kind of own Cadbury's in America. I think under Kraft as well. I think Kraft bought Cadbury's. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm from the home of Cadbury's. Birmingham is where Cadbury was invented, so I have Cadbury running through my blood. I should probably get a diabetes test at some point. But yes, I have Cadbury running through me. In fact, Cadbury World isn't too far away from here. It's kind of like Willy Wonka's, but not. It's a lot more sad. Really? Yeah. And on a personal note, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of caramel. Really, gooey caramel like that. I prefer texture, crunch or chew. It's too liquidy for me. So if I ever happen to knock on your door for trick-or-treating, just remember to maybe give me a crunchy instead. And so there we go, folks. That is every pop culture reference in Gilmore Girls Season 1, Episode 7, Kiss and Tell. And whoo, there was a lot to tell right there. We went through a heck of a few right there. But rather than me talking about it, let's see where it actually tallies up on the scoreboard. So I found there was a lot more movie-related references in this particular episode, not many historical events or dictators like in previous episodes, but still we managed to rack up a fair amount because Season 1, Episode 7 of Gilmore Girls has a grand total of 31 pop culture references. Yes, indeed, we are continuing the trend of having 30 or above pop culture references per episode, and because of that final one at the end about the caramello bars, that means this episode has jumped to first place, having 31, which is one more than the previous episode that only had 30. And I wonder if this pattern will continue because these videos are getting longer and longer to film and longer to make because they're packing more and more references in. Imagine the day that it actually reaches the 40. I think it'll take me a whole weekend to film it. let alone edit it. But anyway, enough of me talking about the pop culture references. Let's take a look at a little bit of trivia. And thank goodness there isn't a lot of trivia for this episode. In fact, there's only one that I'm going to share with you. When Lorelai tries to get Rory to talk about her first kiss with Dean, she mentions the new Lucky on General Hospital, as old Lucky, Jonathan Jackson, left the show to do a role where he gets a real name. We talked about that much earlier, didn't we? In reality, 2 years after this episode aired, the actress who played Rory, I can't actually say her name because my Amazon assistant will activate, made her film acting debut opposite Jonathan Jackson in Tuck Everlasting in 2002. So how about that? They were talking about the actual actor, and 2 years later, the one who was being talked to about the actor will be in her first film with said actor. Funny, innit, how these things work out. What a small world. And that was all the trivia done, and now my review on this episode. Thankfully, this episode isn't the most heart-wrenching of episodes. I definitely think it had the possibility to be that, but instead it's a lot lighter and it's a lot more fun because we've had a first kiss. It is Rory's first kiss, and that is an amazing thing for anybody. I mean, we can all remember our first kisses, and that was hers right there with a guy who she really likes and who likes her back, and it's this whole thing. And rather than making it a really taut, sad situation where Lorelai was missed out on receiving that information, they managed to make it that, oh, there is a little bit of sadness around it, but it's still rather nice, because all this time Lorelai has been basically, you know, with Rory, like they have just lived each other's lives. And as Rory is growing up, she realizes that it's going to be further and further the distance that they have between each other. And she says, you know, we don't keep secrets from one another. She tells me everything about her. I tell her everything about me. But the thing is, we've seen in the last few episodes that those little secrets are starting to come in. Because it's not just from Rory, who is just a typical teenage girl. Like, some things, especially when it's something new, like dating, you don't want to share those things with your parents. Like, I don't talk to my mom about my dating life. And yes, they have that really close connection and friendship, but she doesn't really want to share that with her mom. And the thing is, Lorelai can't feel too bad about that, because you remember a couple of episodes ago with Max, like, she didn't tell Rory about her and Max getting together. And that was the thing, you know, it came out eventually, like the Iran-Contra scandal, which I covered in that episode, if you remember. But yeah, these secrets are already starting to be kind of whispered away. So the script did have the opportunity to go in a direction that is very much like, oh, why? Why did you keep this from me? I can't believe we're having this schism, this breakup right here. Instead, it was dealt a lot lighter. Yes, she's a little bit upset about it, but she wants to approach it again as a best friend, going from the friend angle, because the episode before was very much the mother-daughter angle. Because here, you do see Lorelai as the mother, but she doesn't want to be the mother. She wants desperately to be seen as the friend, because when she's asking for the information on it, like she's trying to coax the information out of Rory by mentioning kissing and all of that, and then she just confronts her at the fridge going, oh, you know, any boys you've kissed lately? Like, she knows this. She wants to have these open, candid conversations as if they are best friends, but she kind of doesn't like the fact that she's being treated as a mom. She doesn't like the fact that, oh, why is my friend keeping this information from me? She sees me as a mother. I don't want her to. I want her to share these things with me. And like when she asks Dean to come to movie night, she's doing it as like a hangout. Yeah, we'll just all hang out. And then Rory goes, no, I'm not going to sit with this boy for the first time with my mom there. And Lorelai starts to freak out and panic and goes, gosh, you're entirely right. Like, I didn't even think of it like that. I just thought we would be all three friends sitting together, enjoying a movie, enjoying some snacks. But yeah, you see me as your mom. What have I done? And, you know, she panics and tries to back out of it, but eventually it is very friendly. And at the very end of the episode, like, she says very candidly, Lorelai says, I wish you'd have told me about the kiss. And Rory goes, you know, I wanted to, I just felt that I couldn't. She goes, okay. But then there is that friendship reconciliation at the end where when Rory's like, do you know what? I know it's late and lame and totally after the fact, but let me tell you. She goes, okay, tell me everything. If you miss anything out, you die. Like, it's very friendly. And even though I've said all this time that it's born of the place of wanting to be a friend, I think hidden very underneath, I think the actual core of it is being a mother. Because Lorelai right here is seeing what happened to her when she was Rory's age. She is Rory's age when she had Rory. And so there are parallels that are starting up already. And a huge factor in that is the fact that Dean looks a bit like Christopher, looks and acts like Christopher. He's got the leather jacket, he's tall, he's handsome, like, oh, we've kind of gone for the same guy. Lorelai says that, yeah, we've kind of gone for the same guy. It's weird that this has happened. And in her mind, I think at least in her mind, she has seen that and gone, if Rory is going for the same kind of guy that I would go for when I was her age, then maybe other things could happen that happened to me when I was her age. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that life for her. I don't want her to get pregnant like I did and have to give up on certain avenues that I was hoping to pursue in order to raise my baby. Maybe I need to keep an eye on this. And the way to keep an eye on this is to be heavily involved with this. And I can't be the overbearing mother from it, so I will be the friend. I want all the info, all the details, and if I approach it from a friendship angle, then it's not so overbearing and interfering. Instead, it's a, hey, let's gossip and let's chat so I can keep tabs on how this is going. I don't think it is as calculated and manipulated as that. I think it comes from a very sincere, honest, caring place. But I do feel that angle of, God, I really hope she doesn't follow the same path that I followed, is what spurns her to really want to be all up in Rory's business and want all the information, because if she can keep an eye on how things are going, then she can see if it's going in the same direction that it went for her. Because as I said, there are those parallels, there are those similarities and parallels. Lorelai knows that Rory is just basically a mini her. She says it many times, like, oh yeah, you are my daughter. Like, there's many times in the episodes that have happened already where it's like, yeah, she is just a chip off the old block. Let's see if I can just keep an eye on this so it doesn't end up down the same path. And whilst we're talking about the relationships, of course, it's with Dean, right? I've got my opinions on Dean, but that comes from hindsight. We just have to go with what we've got as we're going. I don't want to talk about too much episodes that haven't happened yet. I want to approach these as if this is the first time we're watching these episodes, of course. But even in this episode, can I just say, what the heck is Dean doing sitting in Lorelai Gilmore's house, talking to Lorelai like that at the end of that episode? Are you kidding me? That little speech he gives, when Lorelai gives this amazing speech of like, look, the whole town is watching you. She is loved by all. If you hurt her, you won't have a friend for miles. And then he goes, all right, let me tell you some things. I'm so sorry. Are you what? You what? Are you kidding me? Where do you get the gall? Is there more gall in Chicago? Huh? Did you bring that with you? Huh? I can't believe, the first time I watched it, I couldn't believe the audacity. And even just watching it then, I'm like, I would never have thought the first time that I met my, not even girlfriend, the girl that I kissed's mother, the first time that I've met her, I'm going to sit there and go, listen, this is how it's going to go down. This is how you're going to treat me. This is how you're going to act towards me. Oh my days. Unbelievable. I'm just agog at that. Is anybody else? The audacity of that. And it's a good indication of things to come. Even though I'm not talking about future episode, it is a good indication of things to come, because I'm not the biggest fan of Dean, and that is the first red flag right there. Huge. Yeah, it's a tapestry of red, basically. But let's not focus too much on the negative things. Can I just say, one of the absolute highlights of this episode is when Suki appears. Of course, it's Melissa McCarthy. She only has to appear for a second in anything and she will steal the show. But when she comes with the dessert and then the pizza gets delivered and she's there trying to scope out who Dean is and what he looks like and how he acts and all of this type of stuff, yes, it's fun, yes, it's funny and all of that. But this little sequence right here.
Do not need dessert, Suki.
Oh, everybody needs dessert. So, where is Rory?
Hey, Lorelai.
Hey, Joe. What do I owe ya?
15 even.
Mom, is that the pizza?
Yeah. Okay, bye. Now, God, I just want
No, bye.
Bye. Just here. Bye.
Hey, so you're hungry?
Starving.
Where's the pizza?
The pizza's...
Pizza! Just bringing in the pizza.
How amazing is that? I genuinely, absolutely cackled yet again seeing that, because it was done so deftly. It is like a really slapstick. It's like a Three Stooges sketch. It is absolutely ridiculous how she managed to get that pizza and swap it over and come in to be like, oh, look, I'm delivering. Absolute comedic genius. I love the way that is written, directed, and acted. That is Scott Westwood's highlight of the episode. Absolutely love it. And I will think about that rather than thinking about the bitter taste that Dean leaves in my mouth, because who the heck does he think he is? But anyway, my friends, I could keep harping on, but I'll give myself and you a break and end the video here and say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget that the comment section is open down below, so feel free to leave any of your thoughts in there. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. And if you want, feel free to give it a little subscribe as well, so that you don't miss out on any future videos, whether it's to do with Gilmore Girls, whether it's to do with Friends or any other shows. If you hit that subscribe, you won't miss out on any of them. So that is me wrapping up with the wrapping up. And I want to say once more, thank you so much for being here, my friends. Luck and more to you all, and catch you next time.